What's up, and welcome to another edition of Mundy's Workbench. This weekend was a double header. Garrett ran on Saturday at the Crossroads in Bloomfield. That was obviously a pretty muddy race. I elected not to ride, save my equipment, make a better choice, save myself for Stony anyway. Stony was Sunday. The conditions of the track were very good. They did the best they could there with the conditions, and I ended up racing, and so did Garrett. Anyway, we survived that and didn't manage to tear up too much, but since we have had so many mud races lately, I want to talk to you about Fork Seal Maintenance on the front of your motorcycle. Now, this particular topic is something that I've become familiar with over the years, and that's cleaning the fork seals. I used to ride, in the mid-90s, and I would be replacing my fork seals all the time, because they would start leaking. Well, riding in the super muddy conditions like we have been riding in, the mud and the water gets packed up in those seals, and then it creates, some dirt and debris get in there, and then next thing you know, your fork seals are leaking. So what gets us by in approximately, every couple of races, I have to do this kind of maintenance. So I'm going to show you what we do and how to keep that oil from leaking out of your fork seals. So as you see, I've already got the lower leg taken off there, the fork guard cover, and I'm going to use a flatbread blade screwdriver. This one's pretty tight, or pretty sharp, but you got to make sure that you don't do any damage here to this fork seal. And I'm just going to pull out the dust cover first. Give me half a sheet of blue towel. I want to clean everything real good with the this some Windex basically. And that, as you can see, behind that tube, or the fork guard cover, revealed some dirt. So before I pull that off, I want to go ahead and clean that up. So now I've got my sharp, it's relatively sharp screwdriver, and be careful not to damage the fork tube or the actual tube here itself. So I'm just going to kind of work my way around and drop this seal down. So once that comes down, then you can see there's quite a bit of junk and stuff in there. So it's actually leaking out water from where we washed it last time. It's also a good idea every once in a while to pull these down after you do wash it. You can see there's a lot of water in there. So I'm just going around wiping out the seal, cleaning it out the best I can. Now the one on the inside is the one that's leaking. So that's actually your oil seal. So I'm going to take the Seal Mate, and there's a lot of them on the market. This one's works good for me. I've even actually heard people use an old 35mm film if you can use that. Some people even use a tear-off. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in here and just barely hook inside the seal and then work my way around. And that cleans off that layer there. I'll do it again. So I'm just rotating it around. And then there's debris and stuff on there. Wipe that off. Do that a couple more times. So that one's pretty clean now. Also take and clean this dust seal real quick. And this is like the first line of defense. And you can see there's a lot of junk there too. So now I've got that cleaned. I go ahead and spray it with some lubricant, Toolbox Buddy from Lucas. I go ahead and spray that. And then that helps get that seal seated back up on there. So now I'm just going to press it back up there with my fingers. And then I can give it a good wipe off. Put the cover back on. It's a good time to clean that. It gets a lot of dirt in there. And then you're good to go. Your seal should stop leaking. If that doesn't fix it, you're going to have to replace the seals, and that's a whole nother workbench there. But before you do spend the money on getting your seals replaced, go ahead and try cleaning them. And if it's at the racetrack and you're like, oh man, they're leaking, you got to race, you don't have time to replace them, try this trick. And it sometimes will last me, you know, several more hours on the bike. So anyway, this weekend we're going to IXCR Lee Farms in Martinsville, right up the road from us. So look forward to seeing everybody, and thanks for tuning in. Appreciate all of our sponsors, and thank my wife Stacy for taking all the pictures. She works hard out there, even when it's rainy and muddy. She's out there the entire weekend, so proud of her and the hard work she does, and appreciate her support. And anyway, thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll catch up with you next time.